A few days ago, I made a script that can help you with looking things up and making sentence cards. So in this video I'm going to show you how it works and how to use it. So let's say we have an I+1 sentence and we want to learn a new word. Let's say we want to learn this word in this sentence. Then, with this script, what we do is just select this. You press 9 on the number pad, you can change the keybind later. It searches these two dictionaries, you select a definition you like, and then it makes a sentence card for you. So it's very fast and very simple. You don't have to select things and copy it around and look around yourself. You can just select whatever you want to learn. It searches both dictionaries, and you select your definition and it turns into a card. Let's do the same thing for this word. So you can just select anything and that will be turned into the definition. Maybe you want to turn this into a definition. You select that, release the mouse button, and you have a definition here. It's very fast and very simple. So this script is made out of 3 functions. This is the first one. The other 2 are just to look up in jisho or just to look up in Qolibri. So let's say you're making a sentence card. Yeah, let's take this word now, for example. Then you press 9 to make a sentence for it, which searches for both dictionaries, and now whatever you select is going to get turned into a definition here. So let's say we take this, and now that's a definition. Now let's say we want to color code this. What we do is we see here the pitch accent, we color code this, and then we look up all the other words. Normally, I guess what you would do is to select this, copy it, go in here, remove whatever's in here, paste and search. And when you've done that, you go in back here, select it again, and color code it. With this script you can do it much faster. Let me show you this word. You select it, press 7, which only searches in Qolibri, and then you see the pitch accent and you click the button and, oh, that's the wrong button, and you're done. Let me show you here again. So you select it, press 7 to look it up in jisho, or Qolibri I mean, press the color button and it's done. This is faster because it's always, the word is always selected. So look at this word again. If I highlight it, press 7, it goes into Qolibri, searches and goes straight back and still has this selected. So the only thing you have to do is to see the pitch accent and put in the right color. You don't have to reselect this, you don't have to remove the furigana when you search or anything. It does that all automatically. One more thing to note is that you don't only have to use this script when you're making sentence cards, but also when you're doing something like reading, maybe a book or a website. So let's say you're reading this website and you come across a word here that you don't know the pitch accent of, you can just press a button and you look it up. Or maybe you don't know this word, you can just press a button and you look it up. So it's very simple, it goes very fast and very useful. So that's 2 of the 3 functions. The third one is to look something up in jisho. So let's say you want to look, let's say you have a sentence and you don't know really what it's made out of. Maybe you don't know where a word stops and starts. So what you could do is just select the sentence. It can be with or without furigana, it doesn't matter because this script removes that. And you press 8 to look it up in jisho. Okay, now we see that this is the problem. It thinks this is 2 or 1 word, even though it should be 2, and that's something you can't really do anything about. It's just the way the sentence or the way the jisho works. Yeah, you just have to fix that yourself. So now you know what this is made out of. Then you know how to look up the pitch accent for every word. So this script has 2 problems that I know of so far. The first one is that if the words are not in standard form, maybe it's written in a conjugated way or something, then of course you can't look it up in Qolibri. What you would do then is, let's just find a sentence here. So, come on, just something. Here. So let's say you want to make a sentence card out of this. Let me just format this because that's how I like to make my sentence cards. Then do this. This is how I make my sentence cards. What I would do now is just highlight this and press 8 to look it up in jisho. And then we will see every word and what its original form is. So now we know that this way to write the original form is this, in case you didn't know it already. And then what you could do is just select this, press 7 to look it up in Qolibri. Then now you know the pitch accent, and then unfortunately you still have to go in here and select it yourself and put in the right pitch accent. So in this case, when words are conjugated in some way, either like adjectives or verbs, then you would still have to do it manually. You would still have to look it up in jisho, and then the standard way of writing it is then use this script to look it up fast in Qolibri. But you would still have to highlight this yourself and put in the pitch accent. So that's one downside of this. It's not a downside, it's just it's the norm, or this script doesn't help if that's the case. But it doesn't make it any slower or anything. It still makes it a bit faster because you can still look it up faster in jisho. You still can look it up faster in Qolibri here. But it doesn't go quite as fast as if the verb is in its standard form. So the other problem is, let's say we want to make a sentence card out of this. You just press the 9 button, find definition you like, and now you have a definition here. The problem here is that maybe you want to add furigana to this. Then you couldn't do that in a very fast way, really. But the way I'm doing it is to take the word like you have it here, and then you would have to copy that, remove the reading field, and then just add it in the expression field somehow. Now I'm just adding a ton of dashes, so I know when we add the reading here, bam, then we know where where the original sentence is and the definition. So then we'll just remove this, take this, put it in here, and remove this again. And then we would have to make a space there. So that's one other downside. It's not really a downside. It's still much faster than if you wouldn't have the script. So, but yeah, it's something that could be improved. So those are the two downsides, I guess. So now to actually set up this script, you have to do two things first. But it's very fast, so I'm going to show you how to do it. I'm just shutting down the script so we can start fresh. So if we have the script here, we just double click it to run it. Now to set up the script, you have to go into Qolibri and have the window selected, and have the mouse in the search field and click one of the start script buttons. So by default it's 7, 8 or 9. So do that, do the same thing in jisho, select the jisho window so it's in focus, and press one of the keys. Now we have everything set up correctly. What script does is just that it remembers which window you were in and what position you were at. So when you look up something, like let's say you want to look this up in Qolibri, then it goes to the window where you were when you did that setup thing and to the position your mouse were in. So basically it takes this, removes the furigana, it highlights this window, goes to the right position, removes everything that's in there, pastes whatever you selected and searches for it, and then goes right back here to the selected word. And the same thing happens for jisho here. So that's how that works. And there's one more thing that I have to note, if I remember everything. That is that in my case, I have the reading field above the meaning. I have the meaning field above the reading field. So when I look for a word, let's just say here, hair, then if we do that, if we make a sentence card out of it, which is 9, then it searches both dictionaries, and whatever you select something, it turns into a card. But how this works is that it gets this, it goes searches here, and then we select something, it goes back into Anki, and goes up one field and pastes everything. So the problem with that is that for me, it goes here and goes up one step because it knows the meaning field is above the reading field. But in your case, it might be the opposite. The meaning field might be under the reading field. But I will show you how to do this in the next clip, where I show you how the code is made up and what everything does, so you can change it yourself for however you want to change it. So I think that's everything about the script here. And now I'm going to show you a clip of the code and how everything works and how you should change the keys to start the script, and this what I just told you, to if the meaning field is under the reading field, then we'll have to change that in the script. But I'm showing you how to do that in the next clip. If you don't want to go through all of the code, just skip to the end of the clip and I'm showing you there again how to do it. So now we're in the actual code and I'm going to show you how it works and how to change these values so it works for you. One example is that I use the number pad to start these functions, and maybe you don't have a number pad, so you're going to have to change it to other keys, and I'm going to show you how to do it, as well as changing, for example, where you want the definition to be, like I said like just a few seconds ago. So first of all, here in the script you can see an overview of the script. Here's just a description of what the script is and how to use it. Next, we have changed these values for your own liking, where you can, for example, turn off jisho, or you can change this Qolibri character limit. So if you want to search for something in jisho, then if that's shorter or less than this number, then it will also search in Qolibri. Then we just have global variables. Don't care about these, don't change them, or maybe if you know what you're doing, change them, but otherwise just let them be. And here is the sentence function, the one I showed most recent. What this means, numpad 9, then double colon, just means that if you press numpad 9, this function will start. So if you don't have numpad, or don't want to use it, or whatever, you have to change this. So you could change it to like F12, for example, and then whenever you press F12, these things will happen, like it will copy what you have selected and so on. After that, it checks if you have set up these search fields in jisho and Qolibri, and if you haven't, it just makes sure you do. Then it just takes the text that you have selected, maybe it's in Anki or in Chrome or wherever you have selected it, and just copies that text. After that, it just takes what you want to search for and remove all the furigana so you can search for it in jisho and Qolibri. When that's done, it just goes into the Qolibri window, removes everything that's in the search field, posts whatever you have selected, and searches for it. Then it goes into jisho and does the exact same thing. It removes whatever that's in there and posts the new thing you want to search for and searches for it. When you have searched in both jisho and Qolibri, it waits for you to select a definition. So you hold down left click, and then when you release left click, then it copies whatever you have selected and saves that for Anki. So after you have selected something, it goes into Anki, and then now it goes up one step, it tabs up one step, and pastes whatever you selected as a search phrase, then a dash, then the definition you selected. So here is where you have to change if your sentence card doesn't look like mine. Maybe you have the meaning under the readings, for example, then you would have to write just tab. Or if it's 2 fields down, if that's right, tab or tab 2. Or if it's 2 steps up, you should write shift down, tab 2, or tab, shift up. What this does right now is just shift down, it holds down shift, press tab, and then releases shift. So basically it just shifts up, tabs up once. One thing I want to point out is that this code isn't super efficient, and I could have been making more functions and so on, but for some reason it messed up the timings and I didn't bother with that, so I just made something that worked and I'm happy with that. Okay, now we're at the second function. This is the one that searches in jisho, or also Qolibri if it's a short phrase that you search for. So in the beginning it just does the exact same thing. Once again, this code isn't that efficient, it's just the same thing. So it saves where the mouse is, then it makes sure you have set up the search fields correctly, it copies the text, goes through the text to make sure it's correct. Then if whatever you have selected is short, then Qolibri assumes it's a word and not a sentence, and it searches for it in Qolibri as well. Otherwise, if it's too long, then the Qolibri character limit that you set up in the beginning of the script, then it just skips it if it's too long. Either way, it searches in jisho whatever you have selected. Then after that's done, it just goes back into the window you were before and moves the cursor back to where you were before. this doesn't only work in Anki, it can work in any window. It just goes from the window, and where you have selected something, goes to jisho, and in some cases Qolibri if you have that on, and then it goes back to the previous window where you selected something from. So once again, not just Anki. And last we have this pitch accent lookup script. So once again, this does pretty much the same thing. It first makes sure you have the right setup with the fields, and if you haven't, it just lets you put it in. Then it copies what you have selected, it parses through it to make sure to get rid of all the furigana, and goes into Qolibri to search for it there. And it doesn't search in jisho in this, no matter what. It only searches in Qolibri. And then it goes back to the previous window where you selected the text from. Now I'm going to go through what you're going to have to change, and only what you're going to have to change, nothing else. So first of all, it's this. You change these values for your own liking in the top of the script. There, once again, you can jisho enable, you can turn that off if you don't want to use it. In Qolibri, character limit is, once again, if the search phrase is longer than that, if you do the second script, then it will just skip Qolibri. Next is the first function, where I set to numpad 9. Once again, you just put whatever key that you want to use there instead of numpad 9 if you don't have a number pad or want to use something else. And then you have to do the same thing on the second function, where it says numpad 8. It's the exact same thing as numpad 9, the first function. You just put another key that you want to use. And the last thing that you're going to have to change is numpad 7. Once again, just like the other two functions, this is what calls the third function, the pitch accent lookup function. So you're going to have to change this to another key if you don't want to use numpad 7. So after you have selected something, it goes into Anki, and then now it goes up one step, it tabs up one step, and pastes whatever you selected as a search phrase, then a dash, then the definition you selected. So here is where you have to change if your sentence card doesn't look like mine. Maybe you have the meaning under the readings, for example. Then you would have to write just tab. Or if it's 2 fields down, if that's right, tab or tab 2. Or if it's 2 steps up, you should write shift down, tab 2 or tab, shift up. If you have any suggestions or other ideas of making scripts that can benefit us who do MAA or AJAT, please go ahead and write it in the comments, because I would like to make more scripts. And that's all, and thanks for watching.